Good evening, YouTubers. I'd like to discuss a few things that's going on in New York City. Um, the first thing is that real estate prices in New York City, depending on where one chooses to reside, has been dropping exponentially, um, especially uptown. Um, because many people are getting evicted, specifically black people. Many black and Hispanic people are being getting evicted in Harlem and in Washington Heights because they're unable to pay their rents because they're out of work. Or if they are still working, they're not making enough to pay these exorbitant rents. Landlords, of course, they need their money too to pay the bill, their bills due to the upkeep of the buildings. So although there's supposedly a moratorium and evictions, depending on where one is residing, that moratorium is not being adhered to. Also, there's the situation of bags. Supposedly bags in the supermarket is supposed to be outlawed. Well, I reside in Harlem, and what they've done now is turn the business of bags literally into a business. Okay, one can be charged anywhere from 5 cents to $1 for a bag for groceries. So you have that situation going on. And it's primarily Spanish people that either owns or runs the supermarkets. So they charging these fees, which is unconscionable because people are out of work. So, how are you going to charge people fees for bags? People are having it very, very difficult up here in Harlem. It seems as though every time I step out of the house, the homeless population has grown exponentially. It's really, really terrible. I've never seen so many homeless people in Harlem. It's scary because you don't know where it begins and you don't know where it's going to end. It's just so bad now. You're actually afraid of even walking outside, after twilight has set because due to the homeless situation. And for instance, down the block from where I live, there's a Dunkin' Donuts and a Spanish restaurant. I usually call it the Strip. And when twilight begins, you see nothing but homeless people. Nothing but homeless people. It's unreal what's going on in Harlem. The trash is not picked up. There's human as well as dog feces all over the place. And, if it snows, it's even worse. Because, of course, you can step in shit all over the place. And you don't know where you're stepping, of course, because of the snow. And then you have the trash situation that has increased as well. It's just terrible. It's terrible. And all these situations which I've just named seems to be, oh, well, it's because of the pandemic. Oh, really? Can't the trash guys or whomever is in charge in the government send these people out to pick up the trash and find these people for shitting all over the sidewalk or the walkways? It's terrible. And then on top of that, in the back of the building where I reside, in the morning when you go out, you have nothing but the trash that's spilled all over in the back of the building because there are people that's going through the trash overnight looking for food or money or clothing, whatever they can find. Because at this point, I can't speak on the rest of the country, but in Harlem, people are in dire survival mode. It is really, 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 really bad out here. And I don't see where it's going to get better. Okay? And I'm somebody that always feels that, there's always some kind of hope and being positive. But there's a point where you have to look at a situation and say, look, all the positive thinking in the world and the hope is not going to change the reality of what's going on now. It is really dire, and it is scary, because, at what point will violence become the norm? Because people are suffering economically. And then of course you have those that are mentally ill, whether they were mentally ill prior to the pandemic or during the pandemic is not even the issue. The issue is that they're mentally ill, they're out here, and some of them at some point may resort, and have been resorting, as a matter of fact, to violence. So when you step out, you have to have, eyes on the side of your head, the back of your head, all over the place. And you just can't go out thinking you're going to be safe, because there's no such animal anymore as being safe. Being safe is when you can stroll back into your home and lock your doors behind you, and God willing, there's nobody in your home unexpected when you stroll in there. It's really sad. And I'm an elder now, and I could never have imagined this America that I reside in today. I could never have imagined that things would come to this. I mean, of course, one can say, well, it was inevitable, and maybe whether that's true or not. It's just sad, and I don't believe that anybody at this point has any solutions. Because let's say, for instance, if this pandemic should end officially tomorrow, what then? It's not going to alter the fact that people are out of work, people are displaced, the homeless population has increased exponentially, the mentally ill that are on the street as well. Everything has tanked, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. And I don't foresee where this pandemic is going to end anytime soon, in the near future. Whether it's in the spring or in the summer, I believe it's going to go on for a while. Of course, it will come to an end at some point, but you have people that aren't wearing the mask. They're not doing the 6 feet away. It's incredible. And those of us that are adhering to the guidelines are all caught up in this madness. And we're trying to understand what's going to be the outcome in the long run. Because right now the outcome seems really dire, and no one has a solution. I don't even believe that the people that are supposedly in charge know what to do any longer, because I think they have reached a point where they're just telling the public what they think we want to hear, because I don't believe that they believe what they're saying any longer either. Because the fact is, this country has never been confronted with something like this in decades upon decades since I believe it's the 1918 pandemic, the Spanish flu, if I'm correct in my information. And back then you didn't have technology. Now you have technology. You have a lot of other situations, but still, even with all this technology and other situations and the vaccines and the this and the that, it hasn't stopped this pandemic from raging through families, friends, you name it. And then there are those that's using the pandemic as an excuse to do certain things that are really terrible. So it's mind-boggling how one can arise one day and everything they thought they knew about the country that they're residing, their life, it's just up in shambles. And no one has any solutions that's on the horizon. That's really the thing too. Nobody has any solutions. Not even those that are briefing us every day, in regards to this pandemic. They're at a loss themselves. So all I can say to everyone out there, make sure you exercise. Try to eat sensibly. Really go out of your way to take care of yourself. Because it's not just getting the COVID. Of course you don't want to get that, but you certainly don't want to have to get other diseases, come down with other illnesses, then you have to be hospitalized in a situation where you'll probably be in the same room with someone that has COVID, or on a floor where people have the COVID. So people out there, be vigilant. Take care of your life. Okay? If you were lackadaisical before and felt, I can just go to the gym every other day or every other week or something like that, or I don't have to exercise, I can just gain weight and be lackadaisical. You cannot afford to do that now. You have to take care of your health, people, and be vigilant about it. Because the body that that's yours, that's your house. And you better take care of yourself. Please. Because good health, you can do anything you want to do and need to do. You have bad health, you're in trouble. And there is nobody that's going to come to your rescue. Not the politicians or their ideas or their laws. It's not going to assist you. You better make sure that you are prepared. You have adequate food in your house. Try to keep your roof. If you even send $50 to your landlord every month, send something. But don't just sit there and take advantage because the COVID is here. At some point, it's going to be lifted. And only the strong and healthy is going to survive this madness. So be vigilant. Have protection in your homes. And protect yourself when you leave your home. And those you love. In any case, I'm going to say good night. I wish everybody good health and take care. And thank you for listening. Like and subscribe. And thank you again. Good night.